Join Scrooge McDuck, Eilonwy and Bellweather for a supernatural adventure in this Amber Emerald single-player deck, Spectacular Specters, releasing with Whispers in the Well. In this video, we'll be taking a deeper look at the deck, key cards, general strategy, and sharing tips on how to upgrade it too. So whether you're playing with friends or planning to pick it up for your next sealed tournament, we've got you covered. Let's go ghost hunting. Whispers in the Well is really looking to shake up Disney Lorcana with the introduction of the Whispers as well as the boost mechanic, and Spectacular Specters is the perfect introduction to this new gameplay, with an accessible deck that offers a lot of room for skill expression. Spectacular Specters features 47 characters, 6 actions, 2 of which are songs, 6 items and 1 location. It includes 8 Whisper cards for those keen to try them out, and as you'd expect with a single player deck, only 4 cards are uninkable, providing a very forgiving gameplay experience. Every card in this deck is a brand new card for Whispers in the Well, which means it offers great value for those looking to build their collection too. Before we dig into the strategy of this deck, I want to give a huge shout out to the team at Ravensburger North America for providing it to us ahead of time so we could put this guide together for you. And if you want to get your hands on this deck, or any other Whispers in the Well products, catch the pre-release on November 7th, and in stores everywhere for the mass release on November 14th. Spectacular Specters is, at its core, an aggro style deck that is looking to close the game as quickly as it can through high lore questers. This, mixed with the lack of card draw, can make the deck slightly more fragile, especially when compared to the Sapphire Steel single player deck for Whispers in the Well. That being said, this is a deck with a lot of tricks up its sleeve, making good use of both Amber and Emerald to disrupt opposing players, and has some really fun and interesting synergy with its Whisper characters. Given that this deck wants to play fast, Flynn Rider's Spectral Scoundrel is one of the strongest cards in the deck thanks to his I'll Take That ability, which, when he's boosted, essentially turns him into a 3 strength 2 willpower character questing for 2. Being able to set him up on turn 1 is incredibly powerful, especially against the Sapphire Steel deck which only has 3 1-cost characters, and has a pretty good chance of missing them. Another powerful Whisper that helps toward this aggro game plan is Megara, who, like Flynn, gains an extra lore when boosted, but will also force your opponent to discard a card when she's challenged. Given the lack of significant card draw in either of the single player decks, this ability can really help starve your opponent of vital resources. And Meg's 4 willpower can often require a double challenge to banish her, if set up correctly. The good news is there are a few ways to protect both Meg and Flynn. Della's Moon Lullaby provides some much needed card draw, whilst also giving a chosen character -2 strength until the start of your next turn. This can be a great way to throw off your opponent's maths, and keep your questers around for longer. Goofy, Ghost Hunter provides a similar utility, giving a character -1 strength whilst also leaving you with a decently statted character yourself, that can be used offensively to quest or defensively to challenge. There's also Mrs. Beakley, former Shush Agent, a 2 strength 6 willpower bodyguard that can come down on turn 4. This is an awkward amount of willpower to deal with for either of these single player decks, and will require multiple challenges to remove her in most cases, giving your questers more breathing room to net you more lore. Della Duck, Returning Mother meanwhile, lets you ready chosen character with boost, though they can't quest or challenge for the rest of the turn. Gaston, Frightful Bully, is another Whisper, though his function is more on disruption. When he quests, if Gaston has a card under him, chosen character can't challenge and must quest during their next turn if able. This is a surprisingly powerful ability, as it's often the case that the higher strength characters also quest for the least, really putting your opponent into a tough spot, while you race ahead in lore. And with many strong early game Whispers, often the biggest challenge is finding the right moment to sacrifice tempo in order to boost them. Fortunately, the deck comes equipped with some tools to make more optimal plays. Emily Quackfaster, Level-Headed Librarian, lets you put a card under one of your Whispers when she's played. As a 2-cost character, she plays well on curve to boost the turn 1 Flynn, while also letting you develop your board. Blessed Bagpipes is an item that performs a similar function, but also has a secondary ability, Battle Anthem, gaining 1 lore whenever a character with a card under them is challenged. This can put your opponent in a tricky spot, where they'll need to decide whether sacrificing the single lore to challenge your characters is better than leaving your character there to quest. Scrooge McDuck, on the right track, can also give an extra lore to a character with a card under them. Both Scrooge and the Blessed Bagpipe give you some extra reach to help cross the finish line. And speaking of Scrooge, The Floodborn Cavern Prospector can be shifted in, and his static ability, Speculation, lets you put a card under a boost character when you play them. All these things together make for some very powerful lines of play, and puzzles you'll need to solve to really get the most out of your cards and ink. Webby Vanderquack, Knowledge Seeker, is another character who can indirectly benefit from your boosted characters, as she gains an additional lore while you have a character with a card under them. A 1/6 questing for 2 is particularly good in the early game, and her ability will also trigger if you have a shifted Floodborn character too. The final whisper in the deck is Simba, King in the Making. While his Timely Alliance ability may seem like a game changer on the surface, allowing you to potentially play a character for free each time he's boosted, his 7 cost makes him prohibitively expensive to play, and considering the low curve of this deck, you often won't reveal anything especially powerful. Even so, if you're able to set him up and take advantage of some of the other synergy in this deck, he can certainly be a fun late game play. More useful late game characters though come in the form of Hookhand, Unexpectedly Friendly, and Penumbra, Moon Alien. Both are huge bodies that your opponent may not be able to answer, though in most games you'll probably rather focus on keeping your ink curve low to aggro out a victory. If games are starting to go longer, there are some other ways this deck can fight for board. Chomp lets you deal 2 damage to a damaged character. This can be a super efficient way to pick off a character who has accumulated some damage on them already. Then there's also some of Emerald's typical strength boosting abilities, such as So Be It. This can help you turn an unassuming character into a heavier hitter, and surprising your opponent who thought they were safe to leave a character exerted. When it comes to your opening turns, you'll want to focus mostly on developing your high lore questers in order to close the game before your opponent is able to stabilize. Flynn is likely your best 1-cost character in most cases, as it puts a potential 2 lore quester into play. On the draw, if your opponent is able to find their own 1-cost character, then Big Nose is a good option as his 3 willpower will often let him survive a challenge. If you've been able to set up Flynn on 1, Emily Quackfaster is a great turn 2 play that will allow Flynn to immediately start questing for 2. You could also look to set up Gaston in order to disrupt your opponent on subsequent turns. If you've got a character who you're likely to boost, Webby is a great turn 3 play to continue the pressure with lore threats, while Scrooge will give some extra lore and leave you a character to contest your opponent's board with. Turn 4 is all about protecting your characters. Mrs. Beakley on 4 should ensure your lower willpower characters stick around a little longer. Goofy is another reasonable play to reduce a character's strength, while Della Duck can ready one of your boosted characters to protect them that way. If you've drawn into quite a few low cost characters, from turn 5 onwards you may wish to keep playing those to apply lore pressure. Though if you've drawn into your costlier characters and need to play them out, both Hookhand and Penumbra are good to play in this spot. But as always, remember to remain flexible as you play, as you won't always be able to guarantee seeing the cards you need, considering their limited quantities in this deck. When it comes to upgrading this deck, our suggestion is to focus on the aggro playstyle, while doubling down on the Whisper synergy. To that end, we've increased the density of low cost, high questing characters, while removing the more expensive ones. Cards like Daisy Duck, Donald's Date, and Curse Merfolk, Ursula's Handiwork give you some explosive early game questers to go alongside Flynn. We've also included Pluto, Friendly Dog, as his ability can often leave you a spare ink in order to boost your Whispers later on. In the 2-cost slot, we've added copies of Lilo, Escape Artist, and Scrooge McDuck, Shush Agent, to continue with the high lore pressure. Scrooge has the added benefit of letting you draw a card and then discarding a card, helping you smooth out awkward hands. We've also included Ursula Deceiver. Aggro decks are notoriously susceptible to removal actions, and Ursula helps protect on that front. In the 3-cost slot, we've added Lady Family Dog, one of the most powerful aggro cards, allowing you to play 2 characters for the cost of 1 and increasing your lore pressure. We've also included 2 copies of the Emerald Chromacon to protect your characters, but it also serves a second function. You can use it to return one of your own if needed. This can be especially potent if you return a character that has been boosted, as it will help you gain some measure of card advantage. And that's our guide to playing Spectacular Specters. If you're looking for a guide on the other single player deck for Whispers in the Well, On the Case, you can find the link in the description below. Also in the description is our gameplay video of both of these single player decks in case you want to watch them in action. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit the like button on your way out, we'd really appreciate it. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button for full coverage of Whispers in the Well and beyond. Finally, thanks once more to Ravensburger North America for providing these decks. And remember, you can get your hands on Whispers in the Well for its pre-release on November 7th, and it's available everywhere on November 14th. Until then, happy questing.